They told everyone to distance themselves from me, to cut me out of their lives. They didn't know the truth, but I did. The truth about what they did, about how they tore me down. And now, I was done being their scapegoat. This time, it was my turn to speak the truth, and I wasn't backing down. My name is Sarah, and I never thought it would end like this. Not after everything I've done for them. I've spent my whole life trying to be the daughter they wanted. I thought that one day, maybe, they'd look at me and be proud. But when my parents told me they wanted nothing to do with me, everything I believed shattered in an instant. It started as an ordinary family dinner. Ethan was there, and my parents were, as usual, making small talk about the weather and the latest family gossip. But the moment my mother looked up at me, I knew something wasn't right. There was something in her eyes, something that made my stomach twist. "Sarah," she said, her voice colder than usual. "We need to talk." My heart dropped into my stomach. Talk? Why did it feel like I had just been called to the principal's office? "Okay," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, though I could already feel the tension wrapping around my chest. Ethan's hand found mine under the table, squeezing it lightly as if he could sense my growing anxiety. I gave him a small smile, but it didn't reach my eyes. My mom's gaze flicked to my dad, who nodded. I watched as they exchanged that look, the one they had whenever they were about to say something they knew would hurt me. "Your father and I have made a decision," she said, her tone flat. "We've told the family, everyone, really, that it's best if they distance themselves from you for a while." I blinked. The words didn't make sense. "What do you mean?" My voice barely rose above a whisper. "What are you talking about?" My dad cleared his throat. He didn't look at me. "It's for the best, Sarah. Your actions, your decisions, they've been difficult for us to understand." I couldn't breathe. "What actions?" I choked out. "What decisions?" I've always tried to be good enough for you." "Well," my mom started, and I could see the way her lips tightened, the way her hands gripped the edge of the table. "It's not just us, Sarah. It's everyone. Your family. Your friends. They're all distancing themselves." My world stopped. "What?" I whispered, my voice barely a sound. "What do you mean? What have I done?" My heart was racing. I had done everything for them, everything I could to fit into their mold. I had always done what they asked. So why was this happening? Why were they throwing me away like this? What was it that I had missed? "You don't understand," she said, almost impatiently. "But it doesn't matter anymore. We've all agreed it's best if you're not around for a while. Maybe, in time, you'll see it too." I sat there, staring at her. The words hit me like a wave. I wanted to shout, to cry, but nothing came out. I just sat there, numb. Ethan squeezed my hand tighter. "Sarah, maybe we should talk about this more later," he said, his voice low, almost apologetic. But I couldn't talk. I couldn't process what they were saying. I had tried my whole life to make them proud, and now, it wasn't just them. It was everyone. They had convinced everyone that I was the problem. The daughter who was too much trouble to love. "What is this?" I finally managed, my voice trembling. "Why? I don't understand. What have I done wrong?" "It's just time," my dad said, not looking up from his plate. "We think it's better for everyone if you stay away for a while. People need space from your choices." The anger burned through me, hot and fast. "My choices," I repeated, my voice rising. "I've made nothing but choices that you'd approve of. But nothing's ever good enough, is it?" I stood up abruptly, knocking my chair back with a loud scrape. I didn't care. My mind was spinning, and I couldn't stop it. They didn't get it. They didn't see how much I had tried to fit in, to be the daughter they wanted. Ethan stood too, reaching out for me. "Sarah, let's just go home. We can talk about this, okay?" But I shook my head, backing away. I couldn't breathe in that house anymore. "No. I can't stay here. I can't be here with you, with them, like this." I turned and walked toward the door, not looking back. I needed air. I needed to be alone. I couldn't stay in the place where my whole world had just been ripped apart. I had spent years trying to make them happy. Years trying to prove I was enough. But I was done. I couldn't breathe. I walked out of my parents' house and onto the sidewalk, my chest tight with confusion and hurt. How could they do this to me? I had always tried to be the daughter they wanted, tried to be enough. Yet here I was, rejected, cast aside like I didn't matter. The pain was overwhelming, but there was something else too, something sharp, like a seed of doubt planted deep inside me. What had I missed? I needed answers. I needed to understand why, after everything I had done for them, they still chose to destroy me. It didn't make sense. I had spent my whole life trying to please them, trying to fit into their idea of what I should be. But no matter how hard I tried, it was never enough. Sitting in my car, I let the silence surround me. I stared at my hands on the steering wheel, feeling numb. Then, the memories came. The little things that I'd dismissed at the time, but now, in the quiet aftermath, they started to unravel. Like that time, years ago, when I was just a teenager, and my mom had called me into the kitchen. "You're just like your father," she'd said, her voice tight. Never satisfied. Always complaining. I remembered how that had stung, how I tried to convince myself it was just a passing remark, nothing to hold on to. But now, I saw it for what it really was, a seed of criticism planted deep in my mind, meant to make me feel like I was never enough. Another memory surfaced, of a conversation I'd had with my father a few months ago. He'd been disappointed with my career choice, and even though I tried to explain it to him, his response had been cold. "You'll never succeed if you keep trying to do things your way," he'd told me, his voice cutting through the air like a blade. I shook my head, the weight of his words crushing me. The frustration of being silenced, of having my dreams dismissed, had eaten at me for years. But I always brushed it off, hoping things would get better. I had been wrong. I needed to know what I had missed. What had they been saying behind my back? What had they done to turn everyone against me? The thought twisted my stomach. I pulled out my phone and called my best friend, Lily. She was the only one who had always seen me for who I was, who had never judged me. I needed to talk to someone who could give me clarity, someone who wasn't part of this twisted web. When she picked up, I didn't waste time with pleasantries. "Lily, something's not right." They told everyone to distance themselves from me. My parents, everyone. Why would they do that? There was a long pause before she spoke. "What do you mean? What happened?" They told the family to stay away from me, like I was some kind of burden. They said I was ungrateful, difficult. My voice cracked with the weight of the words. But I don't understand. I've tried so hard to make them proud. I've done everything they wanted, and it's still not enough. Lily sighed, her voice soft but firm. "Sarah, I don't want to hurt you, but I think it's time you face the truth. They've been doing this for a long time. I think they've been lying about you, painting a picture of you as the problem." I froze. "What do you mean? What lies?" "Think about it," Lily continued. "They've always put you down, always made you feel like you were never good enough. But have you ever stopped to wonder if they were projecting their own issues onto you? Maybe they've been telling everyone you're the problem because they can't face their own shortcomings." I couldn't speak. My mind was racing, a million thoughts colliding at once. Could it be true? Were my parents the ones who had twisted the narrative all these years, making me the villain in my own story? I felt my hands shaking as I clutched the phone. I've been trying to make them love me, make them accept me. But, it's all been a lie, hasn't it? Lily was quiet for a moment. "I'm not saying you did anything wrong. You've been the best daughter you could be. But Sarah, you've been living in their shadow for too long. You deserve more than this. You deserve to know the truth. The truth. The truth that had been hidden from me for so long. My parents had made me believe that I wasn't enough, that I was the one causing all the problems. But now, I saw it clearly. They had been lying to everyone, including themselves. They had used me as a scapegoat, and I had been blind to it for so long. "Lily," I whispered, my voice barely audible, "I've been trying to fit into their mold for so long. But I don't think I can do it anymore. I can't keep living for their approval." I sat in the car, the weight of her words sinking in. For the first time, I felt a spark of hope, a glimmer of power. I wasn't the problem. They were. I had spent my whole life trying to fit into a family that never truly accepted me. But now, I knew it was time to break free. It was time to stop living for their approval and start living for myself. I couldn't sit still anymore. The weight of everything, all the lies, the manipulation, it had been too much for too long. I couldn't breathe in that house anymore. The air felt thick, suffocating, like I was trapped in a cage of their making. I picked up my phone and texted Lily quickly. I'm going to confront them. I need answers. I need to know why. I didn't wait for her response. My heart was racing, and I could feel the anger boiling inside me, bubbling over until I couldn't hold it back any longer. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, and found them sitting at the table, acting like everything was normal. Like they hadn't just destroyed everything. I didn't waste time. What the hell is going on? I demanded. My voice came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't care. They needed to hear it. They needed to face what they'd done. They both looked up at me, but they didn't speak right away. My dad's eyes darted to my mom, then back to me. Sarah, don't make a scene, my mom said in that cold, calm tone she always used when she was trying to avoid the truth. We've already told you, we're doing this for your own good. For my own good. I felt the blood rushing to my face, my hands shaking with rage. You've been telling people to distance themselves from me. You've made everyone believe I'm the problem. And now you're sitting here acting like nothing's wrong. My dad opened his mouth, but no words came out. He looked guilty, and I hated it. I want to know why, I pushed. Why did you lie about me? Why did you tell everyone I was the problem? My mom's face hardened, but her eyes betrayed her. You've made things difficult for us, Sarah. You don't understand how hard it's been. I felt my stomach twist. Difficult. I repeated, the word tasting bitter on my tongue. You made me feel like I was the one causing all the problems. All the years of criticism, all the years of being made to feel small, it was all on me, wasn't it? And now you want to act like it was for my own good. I could see my dad's eyes flicker with guilt, but he didn't speak. I wasn't sure if he was too ashamed or if he just didn't know how to apologize. Tell me the truth, I demanded, stepping closer to them. Tell me why you did this. Why you've always treated me like I wasn't enough. They both went silent. And that was it. The moment I had been waiting for. I had spent so much time, so many years, trying to get them to see me, trying to get them to love me the way I thought I needed to be loved. But the truth was, it was never going to happen. I had been looking for validation from the wrong people, hoping they would change. But they never would. I stood there, in that suffocating kitchen, and finally let the words come out. You know what? I've spent so many years trying to please you, trying to get you to love me, and for what? So you could tear me down every chance you got. I'm done. I'm done trying to make you proud. I'm done letting you control my life. I could see my mom's jaw tighten, her eyes flashing with something, maybe anger, maybe regret. But it didn't matter. I wasn't waiting for their apology anymore. I wasn't waiting for them to validate my existence. I had spent too much of my life living for their approval, and it had gotten me nowhere. I'm not the problem, I said, my voice finally breaking through the years of hurt. You are. You and the way you've treated me. I don't need your approval anymore. I don't need anything from you. There was a long silence, and I could feel the weight of their failure in the air. They had broken me, but now I could see that I wasn't broken anymore. For the first time, I felt something shift in me. The anger, the frustration, the pain, it was all still there, but now it was mine to carry. It wasn't theirs to inflict on me anymore. I'm done, I said again, my voice steady. I'm not going to keep letting you control me. I'm not going to let your lies destroy me. I'm Sarah. And I'm not your broken daughter anymore. I turned and walked toward the door. I didn't need to say anything else. The silence was enough. It was the first time in my life I had ever stood up for myself, and the truth had never felt more freeing. The silence in my house was deafening. My parents didn't speak to me for days after our confrontation, and I could feel their anger lingering in every corner. The weight of their disappointment pressed down on me like a 1,000-pound boulder. But, for the first time, I didn't care. Their silence wasn't suffocating anymore. It was freeing. I spent those days alone, letting the emptiness settle. I could feel a shift in me, something subtle but undeniable. The pain that had held me captive for so long, trying to fit into a mold that was never meant for me, started to loosen its grip. I was no longer seeking their approval, no longer measuring my worth against their standards. I didn't need them to tell me I was worthy. I knew now that I was enough, just as I was. I sat in my living room, the familiar walls surrounding me. But for the first time, the space didn't feel like a prison. It felt like my own. My heart felt lighter, and the burden I had carried for years seemed to vanish. For the first time in my life, I was starting to feel like myself again. I didn't need them to love me. I needed to love myself. "Hey, Sarah, it's me, Lily." Her voice came through the phone, a familiar sound that brought comfort. "How are you holding up?" I sighed, leaning back against the couch. "Honestly, I'm okay. I'm better than I've been in a long time." "Good. I'm glad to hear that. Have you talked to your parents yet?" I shook my head even though she couldn't see me. "No. And I don't think I'm ready to." "Not yet. Are you going to?" she asked carefully. I paused. The truth was, I wasn't sure. For so long, I had been trying to get them to see me, trying to get them to love me. But I realized now that I had been chasing something that was never meant for me. "I don't know," I said finally. "But I'm not chasing them anymore. I've been fighting for them to accept me my whole life, but now I'm fighting for myself." Lily was quiet for a moment, and when she spoke again, her voice was full of warmth. "I'm really proud of you, Sarah." I smiled, the words filling me with a sense of pride I hadn't felt in years. "Thanks. I think I'm finally figuring out what it means to love myself. To stop letting their rejection define me." It was a new feeling, one that was both terrifying and exhilarating. For so long, I had placed my worth in their hands, but now, I was taking that power back. I was reclaiming my life. And it felt incredible. Over the next few days, I started cutting out the toxic people in my life, one by one. I stopped answering calls from extended family who tried to play the middle ground, pretending like they didn't know what was happening. I unfriended people on social media who were too quick to judge, too eager to align with my parents' version of the truth. Every step felt like a weight lifting off my shoulders. I didn't need them. I didn't need anyone else's approval to define my worth. I was learning how to trust myself, how to believe that I had the right to set boundaries and choose my own path. One afternoon, I sat down in front of my laptop and started a blog. I had always loved writing, but I had buried it for so long, thinking it wasn't good enough, that it didn't matter. But it did matter. Writing was a part of me I couldn't ignore anymore. So, I wrote about everything: the betrayal, the pain, the silence, and, ultimately, my journey toward reclaiming my life. It felt like the first step in embracing who I was. It felt like a declaration to the world that I was no longer the daughter they had tried to mold me into. The process wasn't easy. There were moments when I questioned myself, moments when I thought about calling my parents and begging them to accept me. But those moments grew fewer with each passing day. I reminded myself that I didn't need them to validate my existence. I was already whole, already enough. And then one evening, when I sat down to read through the blog post I had written, I realized that for the first time, I wasn't writing to make anyone else proud. I wasn't writing to earn anyone's love. I was writing because it was what I wanted to do. Because it was part of me. And that was enough.